We also use different styles of eye-to-eye turnbuckles. They're called eye-to-eye because they've got an eye on each end. The smaller turnbuckle here, this 5/16 inch turnbuckle, we use that for our cable X bracing on movable structures. We'll also use it for our cable bracing, for our trellis wires and our irrigation wires. The larger of the eye-to-eye turnbuckles is this 3/8 inch eye-to-eye turnbuckle. This is going to be used to attach all of our cable anchors to our V-track, or on a pipe skid it would be right directly to the anchor. On the end of one side we've got a quick link, which is just a chain link that threads closed, and this will attach to our 3/8 inch anchor eye. So when this is installed, our anchor eye will be mounted into our track. We're going to install this so that the nut is up and on the inside. It sleeves over our anchor eye, and then when we go to move the structure, we loosen up the quick link, move it to the next location, and then put it back down again. On the opposite end, it goes to our cable anchoring. So this is an example of an assembly that we've already put together to show you how all this works. Our eye-to-eye turnbuckle comes up to a wire thimble. The wire thimble is there so that we don't kink the wire as it goes around the eye-to-eye turnbuckle. And then we've got 3 different wire clamps. It is important to install the wire clamps in the correct orientation. At the end of the wire, there's a dead end and a live end. The dead end is the cut end. It's nice to actually tape this off so it doesn't have any chance of ripping any of the plastic. We want to install our nuts opposite of the dead end. There's also a way to remember that. It's a funny little saying called "never ride a dead horse." This cast part would be the saddle, so you always want to make sure that the saddle is on the live end. So if you put the saddles on the live end, you're riding a live horse. If you had them opposite, you'd be riding a dead horse, and that's not any fun. So this is a cable assembly for our wire anchors. There's also the most common part that we use in this whole build is our self-tapping screws. So in this hand right here, we've got 2 different sizes of self-tapping screws. These are both number 12s, and we put them together with a 5/16 inch magnetic drive. We use hundreds, if not thousands, of the number 12s by 1 inch, and then when we have metal end walls, or when we sheet it with polycarbonate, we use 1.5 inches. And when we go through polycarbonate, what we do is we put on one of these neoprene washers onto our 1.5 inch self-tapping screw so that we don't suck the screw head through the polycarbonate. And again, both of these work with a magnetic 5/16 drive. The other one that we use is a number 14. Alright, the number 14 is a larger screw than the number 12. So the number 14 goes on with a 3/8 inch magnetic bit. There's only a couple of the 14s that we use. We use them when we attach our purlin ends to our metal end walls. We also use it when we splice all of our roll bar seams together. So we talk about some of the splices. Over here, you'll see this is one of our aluminum roll bars, and we have these splices that go into the ends of our aluminum roll bars. This is a 1¼ inch by 1¼ inch splice. It just slides into the end of our aluminum roll bars. We put it in halfway, and then we put in 2 number 14 self-tapping screws. I like to put them nice and far apart, so when we're putting our plastic attachment wire into this channel that's built into this roll bar, there's a lot of room to get that wire around those screw heads. So this is one of the splices that we use. This is 1¼ inch by 1¼ inch. We also use a lot of splice plates. These little splice plates are a tiny piece of sheet metal, and we're going to use this on the back side of any of our double plastic attachment channel where it doesn't end right at the hoop, so you can't screw 2 pieces together. We'll also use it for like the roll lock on some of the ridge ventilation systems. So this is a splice plate. For different types of situations, we've got rope that we use. Some of the rope attaches to the eye bolts that we talked about earlier. We also have this thing right here, which is a little aluminum piece called a rope hook. It's got a little hole in it to put a self-tapping screw in there, and when this is designed in such a way where you have your plastic attachment channel, it'll fit inside your plastic attachment channel, and then 1.5 inch number 12 self-tapping screw will secure that into place and hold it in place inside the plastic attachment channel. It's got a little hook in it, and that allows you to put your rope around it. I like to tie it around it and tie a little knot and have a bite around that. So this is called a rope hook for plastic attachment channel. For some of our vents, wherever we're tying a vent in place, we use this rope cleat. We use some of our 1.5 inch self-tapping screws. We put them through there, and it allows you to lash some rope around it to secure your rope to place. We usually put this on an end wall stud so that when we use our butterfly vents, we need to lash a rope in place. You can also use these to secure your doors to your frame when you're trying to button up your structure if you have any severe weather coming. So these are called rope cleats. There's several different types of tape that we use inside the structure. Probably the most important is poly patch tape. The poly patch tape is important because if you get in these little tears, it's a lot easier to try to patch it with the poly patch tape. This has a backing on it, so when you do is you get this started, you peel the backing off, and you're going to want to put poly patch tape on both sides of that tear. This comes in different sizes and different widths, so depending on how the size of the tear is, you're going to want this. This is something I would always make sure to keep on hand. If you have a question about any of these parts, you can see it clearly here. There's different instructions in all these bags that say exactly where all the parts go. For when we do polycarbonate, we've got two different types of tape. This is vent tape. It's a white porous tape. It allows water to go through but stops the bugs from getting out. This tape right here is used on the bottom edge of polycarbonate, and that again lets water drip through it but keeps the bugs from getting into the bottom edge of the polycarbonate. On the top of the polycarbonate, we use aluminum foil tape, or just aluminum tape. Be careful when using this stuff. It's got really sharp edges and it's easy to slice your fingers, but this aluminum tape right here is used on the top edge of your polycarbonate to try to keep water out of it. It goes underneath any plastic attachment or any H channel to be on the top edge of your polycarbonate. So that's aluminum tape. If you have any irrigation tape or irrigation systems, there will also be a Teflon tape on all your threads to make sure you don't have any leaks. There are sandbags that are used. These are used in several different situations, but typically when you're trying to have a flap of plastic, for example on a movable tunnel, to have the plastic, you want to make sure there's no air in between your hip board and what goes down to the ground, so that flap of plastic would be secured in place of these sandbags. There's a lot of them here that come with strings on the top. Typically you only fill these about half, maybe 2/3 of the way full, and that's enough to weigh that plastic down to seal the bottom of the plastic. Another thing we use in just one of our end wall designs is some of this nylon strapping. This is the same strapping we use in some of the things that we pallet up. It's strapping and it comes with these little clips, and it just weaves through them, it snugs it up, and this is a good material for when the bottom of some of our metal end wall designs where you're going to take your T-posts in and off over and over again. This allows you to do that very well. Some other stuff that comes on rolls is the actual wire that's used for some of the cable anchoring, trellising, and irrigation systems. And there's also a roll here of some of the nylon rope that's used to secure some of the butterfly vents in place, and also used for the rope wall for some of the wind rope. There are several other parts that are used in different high tunnel configurations, but this is a really good summary of some of the parts that we use. If you have any questions, the first chapter of the installation manual has pictures of all these individual parts and will help you figure out what goes where.